Here's a shocking truth. Every single time you browse the internet, you're completely dependent on a system that most people have never heard of, and it could be controlled by just a handful of entities worldwide. Welcome to the fascinating world of the Domain Name System, or DNS, the invisible infrastructure that literally holds the entire internet together. Imagine trying to navigate a massive city where every building had only a numeric address like 164.100.94.59, and you had to memorize thousands of these number sequences just to visit your favorite websites. That's exactly what the internet would look like without DNS acting as its universal translator. But here's where it gets controversial. This seemingly innocent system might be one of the most powerful tools for control and censorship in the digital age. Think of DNS as the internet's master directory service, much like how your smartphone's contacts app converts mom into an actual phone number when you make a call. When you type www.upsc.gov.in into your browser, DNS instantly transforms that human-readable name into the numeric IP address 164.100.94.59 that computers actually understand and use to locate each other across networks. Without this translation service, we'd all be digital archaeologists, frantically scribbling down and memorizing endless strings of numbers just to check our email or browse social media. DNS eliminates this nightmare by maintaining a vast interconnected database of name-to-number translations. The DNS resolution journey. A behind-the-scenes look. When you hit enter after typing a web address, here's the fascinating chain reaction that happens in milliseconds. First, your browser asks the DNS resolver, usually provided by your internet service provider, if it already knows the IP address for that website. If this information is stored locally in cache, you get an instant response, like having a frequently used phone number saved in your recent calls. However, if the resolver doesn't have this information cached, it begins a hierarchical search process. The resolver first contacts a root DNS server, which acts like the master librarian directing you to the right section. This root server doesn't know the specific IP address you need, but it knows which top-level domain server, .com, .in, .org, etc. should handle your request. The TLD server then points the resolver toward the authoritative name server. Think of this as the definitive keeper of records for that specific domain. Finally, the authoritative server provides the actual IP address, allowing your browser to connect directly to the website server and load the content. This entire process represents a globally distributed database system that somehow manages to coordinate billions of requests every single day with remarkable efficiency. Decoding DNS record types, the building blocks of internet communication. For those diving deeper into technical understanding, DNS maintains several different types of records, each serving specific purposes. A records handle the basic IPv4 address mapping, the standard format most people recognize. AAA records manage IPv6 addresses, which represent the future of internet addressing as we run out of IPv4 space. CNAME records create aliases, allowing multiple names to point to the same destination. MX records specifically direct email traffic to the correct mail servers. TXT records store verification and security information, including anti-spam measures like SPF and DKIM protocols. And this is the part most people miss. These seemingly technical details actually shape how secure and reliable your entire online experience becomes. The strategic importance. Why governments and security experts lose sleep over DNS. From a governance perspective, DNS represents one of the most critical pieces of global digital infrastructure. The Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, ICANN, manages this system globally. But this centralized oversight has sparked intense international debates about digital sovereignty and control. For digital infrastructure development, DNS serves as the absolute backbone, enabling everything from e-governance initiatives to digital economy growth. When DNS fails, entire sections of the internet become unreachable. Imagine if suddenly half the roads in your city disappeared overnight. But here's where the controversy really heats up. Cybersecurity experts consider DNS both essential and terrifyingly vulnerable. Attacks like DNS spoofing, cache poisoning, and farming can redirect unsuspecting users to malicious websites that perfectly mimic legitimate ones. This creates a perfect storm for identity theft, financial fraud, and worse. The data sovereignty issue cuts even deeper. Countries increasingly demand local DNS root servers to avoid dependence on foreign-controlled infrastructure. Nobody wants their national internet traffic potentially subject to another country's policies or surveillance. Service continuity concerns keep network administrators awake at night. DNS failures don't just inconvenience individual users. They can paralyze critical services like banking, healthcare systems, and government operations. The dark side, critical vulnerabilities that could reshape internet freedom. Here's what makes DNS both powerful and dangerous: centralization risks. Despite being distributed globally, only 13 logical root server clusters exist worldwide. This concentration creates potential geopolitical choke points that could theoretically control global internet access. Vulnerability to sophisticated attacks represents another major concern. DNS spoofing attacks can redirect traffic to malicious destinations without users ever realizing they've been compromised. This threatens not just individual cybersecurity, but undermines public trust in digital services altogether. The dependency on US-based ICANN raises legitimate data sovereignty concerns, especially for countries like India seeking greater digital independence. Why should one nation's organization have such influence over global internet infrastructure? Government censorship potential presents perhaps the most controversial aspect. Authorities can easily block websites at the DNS level, effectively making them disappear from the internet within their borders. This capability conflicts directly with principles of free expression and open communication. Traditional DNS queries travel completely unencrypted across networks, exposing users' browsing patterns to potential surveillance. While newer standards like DNS over HTTPS (DOF) and DNS over TLS (DOT) attempt to address these privacy concerns, adoption remains inconsistent. India's DNS journey, Building Digital Sovereignty, India's Digital India Initiative, and the ambitious BharatNet expansion project depend entirely on robust DNS infrastructure to succeed. The National Internet Exchange of India, MIXI, manages the .in domain space, representing a crucial step toward digital independence. CERT-In and the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology actively promote secure DNS practices across government websites. Recognizing that DNS security directly impacts national cybersecurity posture, India's push for establishing local DNS root servers aims to improve speed, security, and digital sovereignty simultaneously. This represents part of a broader global trend where nations seek greater control over their digital infrastructure. But here's the million-dollar question that nobody wants to ask publicly. In an interconnected world, does pursuing digital sovereignty through localized DNS infrastructure actually enhance security? Or does it create new vulnerabilities and fragment the Internet's fundamental universality? What's your take on this? Should countries have more control over their DNS infrastructure, even if it means potentially compromising the Internet's global interconnected nature? Do you think the current system strikes the right balance between efficiency and security? Or are we one major attack away from reconsidering how the entire Internet operates? Share your thoughts. This debate is far from settled, and your perspective could influence how we shape the Internet's future.